Thank you very much for this opportunity. Yeah, the objective of this presentation is really to provide a highlight and a high level overview of who we are, what we do, really why does it matter, what's the corporate alignment, and the potential direction moving forward. Can you go to the next slide? Thank you very much. So, the Watershed Science program is organizationally within the Watershed Management Services Department, directed by Mr. Chris Hibbert. The working mission for our program is to undertake water and ecological monitoring and to ensure that the organization has adequate and accurate scientific information to support both external and internal partners while championing the source water protection program. This working program mission statement aligns vertically with our NVCA vision and also supports our key NVCA value statements. Furthermore, the execution or delivery of this program is completed through five core program-specific strategic areas: field monitoring, source water protection, information and data management, communication, business excellence, and development. Next slide, please. Thanks. So building on these five core program-specific strategic areas, the key program elements comprise of these 7 bullets. I'm going to go through them individually to really highlight that of what we do. So from the field measurements and monitoring, the Watershed Science program is the principal corporate program responsible for collecting field-based data, which includes groundwater and surface water monitoring and natural heritage monitoring through a host of programs and associated partnerships. We are also the delivery agent for the source protection program under the Clean Water Act, which focuses on the protection of drinking water sources for our municipal drinking water supplies. As you're also aware, this, from your perspective, this includes meeting once or twice annually as the Nottawasaga Valley Source Protection Authority. Following the source protection program, the implementation of that source protection plan is completed through the Risk Management Office, which is another key program within the Watershed Science delivery program areas. And this delivery, the RMO office, is completed through MOUs with 9 of our member municipalities, including Malmer, Melanchthon, Mono, Shelburne, Clearview, Essa, New Tecumseh, and also Innisfil and Agiltos, Oronio. Further, staff provide technical review support to planning and permit regulatory roles, including natural heritage and hydrogeology support. In addition, the program is responsible for upkeep of key GIS layers, including our wetlands layer. Staff are also opportunistically and also noted via the agenda that you have in front of you for staff report 39-08-20 BOD, with staff aggressively looking for external funding projects or opportunities to build the science and understanding of the NVCA through special benefiting or revenue generating projects. As outlined in bullet number 1, we do collect a lot of field data through the monitoring programs that we execute. We're responsible, as a result, we're a data-rich program by virtue of all this monitoring. Through cross-business unit integration, we manage, analyze, and report on the data generated through this program. For example, a key communication project or output is the Watershed Health Checks, which were presented at the January 2020 BOD meeting. Lastly, staff are involved in a variety of technical advisory roles to support program delivery, such as I sit on the Provincial Groundwater Monitoring Technical Working Group. We have staff that sit on the SoSmart, which is a surface water team within Southern Ontario. So we're involved in a variety and a multitude of projects or program elements under this Watershed Science program. Next slide, please. The delivery of the Watershed Science program is through dedicated and highly professional staff that ambitiously drive this multifaceted program forward and comprise of 3 full-time staff and 1 contract staff. and I'll just go through them individually. So myself, the manager of Watershed Science, I have a master's of science. I'm a professional geoscientist. I have over 17 years of experience at both the CA and provincial levels. Dave Featherstone, our senior ecologist, has a Bachelor of Science with over 20 years of experience in both the CA and consulting arenas. The watershed monitoring specialist, Ian Ockerton, also has a Master's of Science with over 14 years of CA's experience. Lastly, Devin Owens, who's a recent graduate from Georgian College, is on contract and supports a program in the Watershed Science Technician. What I hope to illustrate here is are the combined years of knowledge and experience that this program brings forward is in excess of 50 years. And unique to conservation authorities, the program expertise includes hydrogeology, ecology, surface water biology to aid in water resource management. Just want to let you know that this photo was taken during our mini board field tour back in October. And this is the first time in 2020 since March that the team was together. We'll call it socially distanced, and it also includes Paige Cuthbert on the left hand side, who was our virtual summer student during the summertime. So, and since then, no, we haven't seen each other except for these WebEx, Zooms, and MS Teams meetings. So, next slide, please. I hope the previous two slides outline and illustrate that we work on a multitude of projects with core dedicated professional staff. However, the CA or the program, in order to maximize value for the delivery of the programs we do, we seek out partnerships and special benefiting projects. And this includes working with Natural Conservancy of Canada for ongoing menacing wetlands management work, and also has a strong stewardship component. Working with Georgian Bay Forever, Town of Collingwood, Blue Mountain Watershed Trust in terms of Phragmites up in the Georgian Bay shoreline there. We do a lot of work with Georgian College in support of doing guest lectures in there, but also we partnered with them in 2020 with their big analytics and data program in the as a third year or as a postgraduate program in the development of a benthic database or a database for housing our information. So it's a bit so we recognize these synergies and we maximize their utilities to enhance our program deliveries. Worked with the Ontario Geological Survey in developing that those two Simcoe groundwater studies, which are able to be utilized by not only us but our member municipalities in support of looking at additional water supplies, understanding the geology better. Furthermore, as you might remember back pretty much a year ago, we had Steve Hollis give a presentation to the board of directors on the Oak Ridges Marine Groundwater Program, another synergy partnership that we utilize to maximize value there. When we look at the revenue for the program, it's pretty much 50-50, 50% levy, 50% external funding. And for revenue generation, staff are agile and opportunistic in exploring for these special benefiting projects. Examples include Roots Management official work, the New Tech Wastewater Treatment Project, which has sunsetted. River's Edge, a developer came to us in post approval to ask if we can go and do monitoring at a stormwater management pond. We're working with Collingwood with the water quality project. So we look at these opportunities to generate revenue, to build the program, and to enhance forward progress on that one. Next slide, please. So why? So really, why should you be concerned? Why should you be interested in what the Watershed Science program does and contributes to the overall performance to the NVCA? Or reframe that question: what and where is the value from this program? I'll look at it in a couple different angles here. Through the integrated watershed management process, it's really looking at identifying the local issues, develop a plan, implement the local solutions, and then we monitor, report, update via what I call an adaptive management process. I'll also look at what is the NVCA vision, which is a sustainable watershed that is resilient to the effects of climate change, urban growth, and other stressors, and provides for safe, healthy, and a prosperous people and communities. A couple words strike me right there: sustainable watershed, resilient, climate change, growth, other stressors. The question is, through that IWMP process, or that integrated watershed management process, how do we evaluate the performance of it if we don't monitor KPIs or these key performance indicators? How do we evaluate what that climate change is looking like? And this is where the watershed science comes into play in terms of that monitoring data. We monitor the certain systems in place to ensure that we have adequate information, long term, very high quality, so we can gauge to gauge where these impacts are happening, and where we see progress or positive feedbacks occurring on the landscape too. So it's a uh, bit of a I guess a integrated approach on this one. Furthermore, I look at this graphic in here, which I'll be honest was shamelessly taken from the Oak Ridge Marine Groundwater Program. And although it corresponds to hydrogeological analysis, yes, I am a hydrogeologist by background, but this figure has situational utility in different areas. Data informs decision making, science informs policy. Monitoring in the watershed science helps us understand the systems through data collection, analysis, interpretation, and then by extension, using these predictive tools or models to develop planning decisions. So it's that once again, it's that feedback loop that we use that information that is generated through the Watershed Science program to support the other business units in the NBC and also support those decision making, policy decisions making forward. Next slide, please. An example of this to support this modeling is this slide that I kind of thrown together. Understanding the invaluable long-term historical water levels and how does it relate back to modeling. So in this slide, on the upper right-hand corner, we have a wellhead protection area, which is delineated through the Clean Water Act. We have these different zones in here. The development of these wellhead protection areas, and I won't get too techie on you guys, is based on numerical groundwater models. In order to have confidence in the calibration and the development of these models, we have to have a sound understanding of the geology, but also what our different aquifers are behaving like. And this is where we have our provincial groundwater monitoring information come into play, which is one component of the monitoring program. When we have high value, long term historical data, which the CA collects, and very few, if any, other agency collects on the landscape, outside that partnership with the MECP, we use this information to cement these models to give us that confidence in this, and we can do on the upper left-hand corner that particle tracking, reverse and forward particle tracking to aid in the delineation of these wellhead protection areas. So this is just one example of how we use this data in a real life example to support policy on the landscape. In this case, is protecting our municipal drinking water supplies through the source protection program. An example would be using our benthic community characterization work for surface water characterization, looking at impacts through a wastewater treatment plant as directed through an ECA, aka the New Tech Wastewater Treatment Project. So these are avenues out here on how we use this information to move forward for the understanding and to benefit that policy making framework. So that's hopefully highlighting in a very quick fashion the benefits of the work we do there. Next slide, please, Cheryl. Looking forward, corporate direction. So I hope I painted a decent picture of what we do, who we are, and why. And now let's move forward on where are we moving forward. 2020 saw the NVCA Board of Directors endorse two fundamental key corporate documents: the strategic plan and also the business plan, which will drive the NVCA business forward for the next 5 years. The Watershed Science program is well ingrained and represented in both documents. Regarding the strategic plan, core priority areas include the watershed knowledge and business excellence priorities or arenas. Furthermore, with the Watershed Science program is identified as either a lead or a supporting resource in 9 objectives listed in the business plan, incorporating all those program components I listed earlier, I believe in slide 3. Next slide, please. Times of great challenges come great innovation opportunities. In 2020, I think we can all agree represents a year of great challenges highlighted by COVID-19. As mentioned previously, the program budget corresponds to a combination of external funding and municipal levy, roughly 50-50. When I look at the execution delivery of this program in these two streams as levy and external funding, the levy component, in my view, is used for watershed characterization, collecting baseline information to aid all of our member municipalities in understanding the systems approach and the key performance indicators of our watershed. And then the second component is these special benefiting projects. This includes risk management official work, source water protection, that new tech wastewater treatment project that I mentioned earlier, which are all program or site specific and are delivered via an external funding model uh, to aid once again in the understanding of the NVCA watershed and also gain that additional information and knowledge to support program delivery. The NVCA was established about a half century ago and has a long partnership with our member municipalities. Furthermore, the Watershed Science program, and I guess by extension the NVC, has a very unique set of hard skills through the professional staff in water and natural resource management, which can beneficially be utilized in partnered program delivery, offer value-added watershed offer a watershed perspective at a decent cost. Presently, and at the very embryonic stage or at the very initial stage, we're exploring potential business opportunities related to work with our member municipalities. Once again, very embryonic, very at the initial stage here. Some ideas we're exploring right now is stormwater management, inventory, inspections, and monitoring. As I mentioned before, we have the skills in here. Is there an opportunity, and we are a water resource management entity, is there an opportunity to explore this with our member municipalities? The River's Edge project down in New Tech is interesting in two folds. Number one, there's a planting plan associated with it. Is there an opportunity for staff to assist the municipalities in inspections and monitoring that this planting plan is working? Once again, we have the staff and there we have the expertise. Can it be utilized in here through a PSA or a professional service agreement? And then, similar to River's Edge, is there an opportunity, if directed, for post-developing monitoring opportunities, such as the River's Edge project? So once again, very embryonic, very at the initial stages, but these are opportunities that we are exploring right now, recognizing that external funding is where I guess program growth will be occurring from. So, next slide, please. Tempered with that previous slide, yes, we are very well aware of the implications of Bill 108 and also secondarily to the program delivery of 229. With regards to Bill 108, Watershed Science corresponds to two components. We have a mandatory program in there, which is source water protection. We also have a foundational watershed management activity, which is that monitoring activities. As Bonnie Fox from Conservation Ontario indicated back in November 2019 at the Board of Directors presentation, the foundational watershed management activities support the effective delivery of the core programs. For example, the monitoring data that this program collects supports the source water protection program as indicated by that previous model development. But also, and I look at it, that groundwater model also supports our new municipal wells. So it has a, additional utility value for that one. Depending on the status of the regulations, once announced, we do recognize that the components of the watershed program may need to be a part of a larger MOU between the NVCA and the municipalities. So I just want to provide that we're cognizant of the Bill 108/229 implications moving forward. Next slide. So thank you very much for listening to me. And if you have any questions, I'm here.